Hey, before we get started on today's show, I want to share with you something that you may not be familiar with, and that's the Mindset Mastery Movement. Not that long ago, I started the Mindset Mastery Movement. And what it is it's a group coaching program that brings like minded individuals, primarily entrepreneurs, professionals, executives, together to really go into a deeper dive on the concepts that help you create your ideal life. And for many of you listening, you might be working on your business. How do I grow that? How do I grow my income to new levels, my financial life, my wealth? It could be working on your body and your health, as I am right now, too. It could be relationships. Ultimately, what I learned a long time ago was that anything and everything you've ever wanted is available to you, and it comes to you and through you by understanding some natural laws and universal laws and how to work with your mind and the universe around you. So we do a deep dive on that. We do Q&A once a month, group coaching. We do a live training for 90 minutes. And right now the doors are closed for it, but I want to give you an opportunity to get on the wait list to be the very first to know when we open the doors for new members. So if you like the sounds of that, go to www.benspangle.com/MMM and get yourself on the wait list, or you can click the link below in the show notes. Hey, everybody. I hope you're ready for a really fun time today. I've got John Cerasani with me. And as I've got to learn a little bit about John, you're going to love the conversation today. To give you a little bit of background, he's a serial entrepreneur, a business expert. He's an author. He's got his own podcast, which we'll talk a little bit about later too, and a venture capitalist. And John, I'm so excited for our chat today. Thanks for being here, man.
Happy to be here, man. Pumped up.
Yeah, I was, as I followed you on Instagram recently and started watching your stuff, I mean, you're always dropping business bombs, which I love, and life advice. And I think you might win the award for more F-bombs than anybody on Instagram. I don't know. You know,
I got to tell you, man, I get a lot of pushback from that, brother. And, sometimes I keep the beeps in there and it goes beep, beep, beep. So I go and edit the beats out because what'll happen is Instagram will, like if you use captions, they will identify the swear word. So you literally have to go into the captions, change the swear word to something different, and then it won't.
So you got the 2,000.
Yeah, exactly. 2,000 exactly for 2,000% raise. Exactly.
That's awesome, man. It's awesome. Well, they might give you a new handle as Cerasani. Who knows? We'll see. But,
there you go, John Cerasani. See, no one's used that one yet. That's pretty good. I almost just popped it up. I'm gonna trademark that.
There you go. Hey, listen, I want to give people a bit of your backstory. I know from what I at least saw when you were 27, you left corporate America, started your own company. But maybe walk us through a bit of that. What prompted you to make the decision, and then what that led to after that.
You got it, man. So I was fortunate enough to work in an industry that did not require a lot of capital to go out on your own. And I was also fortunate enough to work at one of the biggest players in that industry, Arthur J. Gallagher. They're an insurance giant. Anyone that's in the insurance space will know who they are. The general public might not, but they're a very large, publicly traded company. Okay.
Is this like general insurance is what it is?
Yeah, well, it's really everything. The area I was in was employee benefits. So setting corporations up on their health insurance programs, their life insurance, their disability, anything you would get that's insurance related from an employee benefit standpoint. That's what I was doing at Gallagher. Okay. And what was interesting is that you have the wholesalers who are the actual insurance companies themselves, like Blue Cross or Cigna or United Healthcare. And then you got the clients, the corporations over here that are actually utilizing the product. We're just the little middleman in between. We're called brokers, but when you get to the level that I was at, they're not really. The client isn't really expecting you to broker their account. Yeah, that's one function of what you do, but it's more than just, get us the lowest cost. It's actually consulting on them, being strategic on, how do we fund this program? What's something that we could do to enhance employee engagement and education on their programs, things of that nature. And it's like high level shit. Now, once you get to like smaller clients, like maybe a nail salon or something like that, maybe it's just all about the rates and just give us the best thing on the spreadsheet. But once you get a little bit bigger, the bigger corporations are looking for a very, very different value proposition from their broker.
Right.
So I realized that, and I was not only good at providing that strategy and consultation, I was also good at bringing the clients in the first place. And if you're able to do both of those, what the hell do I need to be working for someone else for? I could offer everything myself, you know? So I realized that at a relatively young age that doing this under the Gallagher umbrella, yeah, they're giving me a nice salary. Yeah, I got their business card. Yeah, I got, their office and all that crap. But proportionately, from a dollars and cents standpoint, this is going to be much, much, much more profitable for me personally if I go and do it on my own. So I had that epiphany, made the pivot, quit my job in corporate America as a rising star at a very reputable organization. People told me I'm freaking nuts, and went and worked for my kitchen table, buddy, and it worked out for me.
I love it, man. And then it's about a decade later, you got bought out, if I remember the story correctly. Is that right?
Correct. I sold the company into private equity for a large multiple, became a multimillionaire, and I was only 37, never had to work again in my life. And what's interesting though, Ben, that you'll find fascinating about this, and people leave this out, I was already rich before that. Like I didn't need, like I was making enough money along the way. It's not like I needed this company to sell to become rich. And the reason I even talk specifics about numbers like this is because I'm trying to resonate with my audience. I want things to resonate to my audience. Okay, listen, guys, I was you in corporate America. I was making 140 grand, whatever that is in 2005. Now call it like 200 grand. I was one of the stars in sales, man. It took a lot to make that pivot and quit that job when you had the big title and everything else. Luckily for me, I was able to see through what I call the bribe in the form of a salary and a job title.
Yeah. What do you think as you started on that journey going from, by the way, you wouldn't have known this, but I'm up in Canada, but I've spent the last 15 years in the life insurance business.
Oh, wow.
More on personal life and that kind of stuff. So,
okay.
So I know the industry. What do you think the biggest lessons switching from corporate America to now here, you're beginning to run your own company? Yeah. What were some of those?
Well, I always go back. People ask me this all the time, and I always go back to the hardest part is the ability to bring in the client. Everything else you could learn. So there are some challenges on the way. You get a lawyer, you waste some money on an accountant. Yeah, it'd be nice if I was a little better versed on this. The internet back then wasn't as what it is now, and you didn't really need to go, where to go for everything. But just organizing yourself and getting things up to par and being an actual company. Yeah, there's some legwork there, but it's all I call it figure outable. It's figure outable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I love it.
And then I was very smart in how I positioned the company. My biggest thing was that I had the mantra of I'm going to inflate my company. I'm not going to inflate my head. And what do I mean by that? People don't need to know I'm the CEO. People don't need to, it doesn't need to be called John Cerasani Insurance. I'm going to structure everything in a way that pumps up the company. And 9 times out of 10, I'd call on these prospective clients, and especially starting out, they thought I was just some polished sales rep working for this organization. They're shit. That Northwest Comprehensive company must be pretty damn good. They got a sales rep like John working there.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Versus me coming in and saying, this is my company. I'm the president. Look at me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's putting attention on myself instead of the company.
Well, I can only imagine how much in the long term, when that private equity came along, what a difference that makes too, right? If it's Cerasani Insurance, now Cerasani's gone. I mean, that makes
that is true. The fact of the matter is, I would sell to a lot of organizations that would have what I call decision by committee, and there would be multiple decision makers. So even if I have a relationship with one person in the sales process, there's 8 other people that need to give their thumbs up sign to. And if that CFO is going to present to the CEO and the president, hey, we're going to go work with John Cerasani of Cerasani Insurance. Well, what's their first question going to be? Wait a minute. How many employees do they have? How many years have they been in business? Is it his dad's company, or he owns it himself? Wait, how new are they? I don't know, Chuck. We might want to shop this around to someone we've actually heard of. Versus, hey, we're going with Northwest Comprehensive. Our rep is John Cerasani. Night and day difference in that conversation.
No kidding. So did you begin then building a sales force after this? You started by yourself or was it a book that you sold later? Tell me a bit about that.
Yeah. So I never built a sales force. And the reason behind that is because I was so profitable and found a better way to skin a cat than most. And I
Yeah.
focused on a niche in
Okay.
higher education, colleges and
Okay.
universities.
Okay.
No one else was really doing it to the extent that I was.
Yeah.
And what it enabled me to do was not need salespeople. Instead, I just needed to market properly,
Right.
showing up at trade shows, showing up at
Okay.
industry events, showing up at getting speaking engagements at their association meetings. Because these
Yeah.
college and university business officers look at the world a lot differently than maybe the CFO of a factory or a manufacturing plant or a car dealership. It's night and day on how they approach the world. Colleges and universities in the United States are nonprofits, so there's just different ways they go about things in that process. So yeah, I looked at invading other industries. People might tell me I'm nuts for not invading different industries, but I tried to go down that path, Ben, a couple times, and I'd hire somebody, say, okay, you're going to focus on the private sector. You're going to go after all Chicago-based, employers with at least 200 employees and blah, 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 blah. And you do it, and it's like, oh my God, all the time I'm focusing with that person, it's taking away my time that could be spent on my bread and butter. So I just decided to keep focusing on that bread and butter. Got over 100 clients, ultimately colleges across the United States. And, I think pretty proud of it.
No kidding, man. That's awesome. Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah, so we've done where it's kind of like a recruiting model and life insurance. So we have a Salesforce is what we've done with it.
Yep.
And it's been really good. Anyways, I've branched into a totally different space, but more in like what we're doing today. So I do more seminars and coaching and stuff like that outside of that business.
Awesome.
And as I've learned more about marketing though, and getting more and more into it and that aspect, they talk a lot about niching down and how much really, to your point, is for whatever business somebody's in, and most of the people listening are entrepreneurs, by the way, whatever business somebody's in, is that there's a market that you can become very wealthy serving and helping.
Right.
And I think like what you did in a lot of ways, where it's, you've got a specific one that you're great at, boom, blows up.
Yeah. And to give it perspective too, right? It's like, so life insurance, especially individual life insurance sales, I think it makes all the time, like that model that you just explained makes a lot of sense because not everybody's buying 20 mil. I don't know what kind of you sold, but not everyone's buying $20 million universal life policies that you're going to get these huge commission checks on. A lot of times people are buying $250,000, term life policy.
Exactly. Yeah.
That you're making, $100 a month if you're lucky or whatever on it.
Sure.
And you need to scale that with volume in order to make it lucrative for you. When you get an employee benefit account, say of a mid-size or smaller college or university, that might be $90,000 to your organization. Some of them are a couple $100,000 to your organization. So it's like, dude, I'm gonna mess with this. And next thing I know, dude, and after I sold my company, I had to work with the company that bought mine. And it's like, oh my God, dude, I had to like work with other offices that they bought here and there. And I'm going out on like sales calls with these people. And it's like, why are we talking to this 34 employee accounting firm about their employee benefits? And there's 3 of us at this meeting. Ugh. You know what I mean? But unfortunately, that's the way the industry is, though. They were the ones. They were the norm. I was the anomaly. That's why the freaking company bought me for so much money.
Totally, it is. So you wrote the book. I know you got the podcast, and I think I might be wrong, but you got the membership too, a 2,000% raise. Thank you.
Yep.
That's the one. And as you do that, as you're working with people, and you're one of your sayings I saw is I put myself at the top of the org chart. Right? Yeah, which I love. Why are you so passionate about helping people leave their job? Now I'm an entrepreneur too, so I love it, but I want to hear your perspective.
Yeah, you got it, man. What I'm trying to communicate to people, and this is why my social media has really become a lot more popular, I think over really the last 6 or 7 months, is that I started talking more about that, man. Anybody that actually knows me personally would tell you I'm not like a flamboyant or like a humble person. I'm in fact, the way I grew my company was by being what I just told you earlier, and I'm not driving a Lamborghini to my client meetings when I'm making a few $1 million a year, and my client's making, the human resources director's making $60,000, and I show up in a Lamborghini. I'm not a dumbass. That's something an asshole would do. But unfortunately, people in social media land I guess it kind of gravitate towards being an asshole a little bit
Right.
more.
Yeah.
So I'll say some things, 100% of them I mean, but my delivery will be a little bit maybe different than whatever. And
Yeah.
you know, in real life, I wouldn't say, open your eyes, hello, what are you
Yeah.
doing? But I
Yeah.
mean it. I just wouldn't say it to your face because I wouldn't
Yeah.
want to put someone down. So I
Yeah.
could
Yeah.
say it generically to the world.
Yeah.
And what's funny about it is people will freaking take it personally, like I'm talking to them specifically. I go, motherfucker, how do you know I'm
Yeah.
talking about you?
Yeah.
So I'll be like, okay, so listen, you spent 20 years in corporate America and you got yourself up to assistant vice president. Do you know that you could still get fired tomorrow because you're employed at will? And this is how it works. You don't have an employment contract. You made the President's Club the last 10 years. They could still pull the plug on you. Now you're out of a freaking job. If you were an entrepreneur, guess what? You wouldn't know. There's nobody to fire you.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, Ben.
Yeah.
People still have a problem with it when I put it that way. So it's like, dude, you guys are watching the wrong effing page. Go put your head in the sand, cross your fingers that the shit I'm talking about doesn't happen to you. And us entrepreneurs are going to keep winning over here. So I get a lot of W-2 employees that are looking to make that transition. I mean, gosh, I'm not making this shit up. I know influencers will say this shit, but I literally get, I would say on average, 5 to 10 direct messages weekly. Sometimes more. Sometimes more if I put a reel out that really resonates with people. Hey, dude, I never thought about being an entrepreneur until I saw your stuff. Or better, hey, I quit my job 6 months ago because of you. Didn't want to tell you because I was a little worried. But dude, I'm making $400,000 now, and I was the same exact job I was doing 5 months ago, making $80,000, making somebody else rich. Thank you for opening my eyes to this.
I love that, man. Yeah. I love it. I think what you're doing a great job on your social too is that you know, it's now that I'm getting to meet you too, it's funny that you're not like that, right? It's more kind of in your face on social.
Yeah.
But what's awesome about it is that it's so polarizing in a way, right? It's either you're gonna love it, right? Because you can resonate with it and think, all right, it is time I make a change.
Yeah.
But then you're going to have all the haters that think, man, this guy's crazy.
Yeah.
And it's almost like offensive. But what ends up, I've watched all the comments on a lot of your posts, bro, and it's amazing to see all the stuff in there. So you've got this great polarization that all these guys that don't like what you're saying, they can't stop watching anyways, you know?
Exactly. And they're commenting, they don't even follow me because they don't want their boss to see them following me. It's hilarious.
Yeah, it is. So it's awesome to see. Question for you. Best business advice you ever received?
Best business advice I ever received would have to be, if you get a client on price, you're going to lose the client on price. You need to come up with a value proposition other than lower pricing.
I like it.
And it's very hard to do in a commoditized product. And when I say commoditized product, I mean something that people are treating like a commodity. Your job is to make them not see it as a commodity. So in the health insurance game, we would see that all the time. We're selling group health insurance, and this guy has a spreadsheet between Blue Cross, Cigna, and United Healthcare and Aetna. And you know, we have a spreadsheet with the same 4 things. And if their spreadsheet's a little bit lower than ours for some freaking reason, okay, but listen, we're bringing A, B, C, and D to the table. Here's why you should work with us. As soon as we keep making it about the rates and the spreadsheet comparisons, by the way, in that industry isn't even freaking your rates. It's the rates you're getting from the insurance company. So it's like, you know what I mean? You can't even necessarily control it completely. So I want to make it not about these rates on the spreadsheet that broker is showing you versus me. I want to make this about what it's going to be like working with us as your consultant and as your broker. All right. Part of the process is also going to be picking out which insurance company to go to. And that's the blocking and tackling. Hey, if we can't get you low rates with the insurance company and someone else could, we shouldn't even be doing this. That's the basics of our job. And when you put it that way to a client, it changes the whole freaking conversation. Now, some clients might be, you know, you could always tell by the way they run their organization. All right. If they're some kind of like wheeling and dealing kind of private sector company that, like, you know, is always trying to save a buck and stuff, that's fine. They're not going to buy into this value proposition. But you know what? We don't want them as a client anyway, because as soon as I undercut the freaking rates and get them as a client, someone else does it to me a year from now, and I had them for 1 year, which does me no damn good.
Totally. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. I love that. You know, thinking about that, if really what's the value prop that you're actually bringing to the table beyond just price. Yeah. Yep. Flipping that question, the worst piece of advice you ever got?
The worst piece of advice that I ever got?
Yeah. Yeah.
Shit. Let me think about that one. I don't know if this is the worst, but I'll throw this one up as an anomaly to curveball you and your audience. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Work smarter, not harder.
Okay.
And I would change that to work smarter and harder. Like the idea of bypassing hard work to build your company is ridiculous. These are two mutually exclusive deals. It's not one or the freaking other. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
What do you see that you work with a lot of people that are entrepreneurs? You work with a lot of people that are, leaving their job to become. And I'm curious your perspective. So let's speak to someone maybe that's newer into their business. What are you seeing as some of the perhaps the common mistakes that they might be making, or you're hearing this more and more from people you're working with?
Well, I think a lot of people worry about optics way too much, especially as first-time founders. And when I'm talking about optics, I'm not talking about optics from a client perspective. I'm talking about optics from your next door neighbor or your spouse's friends or the people at the country club's perspective. Okay. Because they're worried about, okay, how many employees do we have and how many offices do we have? Because you want to flex. Now, these are questions the non-entrepreneur asks the entrepreneur. Okay. Because they're putting value on shit that there really shouldn't be any value in. Okay. The biggest one, how many employees do you have? For some reason, people think that's like some kind of a metric. Well, guys, if you're going to sell your company for a multiple of your profit, every employee you have is an expense that brings your profit down. So what you should be really worrying about is how much money do you make, or what's your company's revenue? All right. Yeah. Because if you have a $5 million company with 30 employees versus a $5 million company with 2 employees, guess what? It's still a $5 million company, and the $5 million company with 2 employees making a shitload more money than the company with 30 employees. But that guy with 30 employees has the bigger freaking, at the country club. Let him. Yeah. You go retire early. Let him flex at the country club.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that makes sense for sure. Huh.
Yeah. By the way, I've never said that before in my life. That just came right off the dome, buddy. I think that might be a social media clip right there, pal.
There you go. 100% it is, for sure. 100% it is. Talk to me a bit about you're a venture capitalist. So what are your favorite kinds of businesses you get involved with today? What are you looking for in that stuff?
It's going to sound crazy, man. I am a venture capitalist. I do early stage VC stuff, and some people might call it angel investing. And it's kind of freaking hilarious, man, because honestly, I don't need the money. So it has to, like, for an opportunity to come across my desk that I do, the first thing I look at is, okay, who's this from? And is it going to like expand my network anymore? Like I'm more concerned with building my network with the right people, putting myself in the right rooms to rub elbows with the right people that could maybe help me grow from a personal standpoint. I got in a couple deals out in Los Angeles and Orange County that put me in the room literally with billionaires that own freaking sports teams. Okay. That to me, when I'm in that room, I'm the little guy. I'm used to being the big guy here in Chicago with everyone kind of looking up to me, looking to see what my move is. Well, now I get in those rooms and I'm in that lower tier. But you know what? I love it because now I could freaking grow. There's things that I could pick up now. Okay, well, shit. Maybe this guy's family started freaking Kettle One vodka and they have generational wealth. Well, maybe I'm not going to duplicate that. And maybe they were born into a family of generational wealth, but there's still going to be things that I could pick up in my dialogue and in my friendships with people like that. And it's not, listen, bro, it's not like a quid pro quo where I'm going to be friends with you if I learn this from you and you give me this and I give you that. You got to still be socially, like the person and stuff. But for me, the way my mind works, it's like, okay, here's a blank or here's all the marks I got on the whiteboard. Okay, which ones are blank or which ones do I not even know exist right now? And you come across somebody that could fill in these blanks, and it's like, wow, okay, I want that person in my damn network. You know what I mean? Versus something that's been presented that is maybe some kind of technology or something that the person might have a good idea and it might have a chance of working. But it's like, dude, a lot of these deals don't go anywhere. They usually go to zero. So it's like, if this is an 80% chance of going to zero, at least with the ones I'm talking about, I've built a friendship or a valuable addition to my network from it versus somebody that's like just all about the investment and kind of like not even someone I really care about. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense for sure.
Mm-hmm.
You've been wealthy for a while,
Mm-hmm.
and before you got there, I guess after I should say, what, I imagine almost everybody thinks how amazing it's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
What did you notice that surprised you about how much even better it was, or how much more you enjoy, if that makes sense that I'm asking?
Yeah, so I think there was really 2 points that I jumped for and actually took a step back to kind of take the air. You know what I mean? So somewhere between year 2 and year 3 at my job, when I started my company, things started hitting for me, and a lot of new clients came in, and I went from making like 250 a year to like 800 a year, like literally in like probably a 4-month period. And that changed everything for me
For
because
sure.
because my whole life was budgeted around that 250 grand number, not the 800. Next thing I know now, it's like, what do I do with this extra 30 or 40 grand I'm bringing in each month? Like literally, it changed my whole perspective. And like, oh gosh, okay, what do rich people do? Like, I got to get a wealth manager now, and I got to do this. Well, I never went and bought a Ferrari or any stupid shit like that. That's just not me. And I bought nice cars, but that was what I started going on a lot nicer vacations. But I don't really do anything stupid with the money either. Maybe I started giving a little bit more to charities in the sense of like buying a table and things like that I maybe wouldn't have done before. But from there, Ben, it really went gradual, dude. So every year, like up a little. Okay, here's the jump. But once you start making, a couple million and you jump 300 grand, you're not feeling that difference anymore. Oh, I went from 2 million to 2.3 million last year. That nothing really feels any different. It was that 300 grand to 800 grand point. The next time I actually was able to take a step back and take it all in was at the point of when I sold my company and actually got done with my employment contract. And when that money was transferred into my bank account from the sale, it was like, holy shit, dude, I never need to work again the rest of my life. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Wow.
So those 2 points, I would say in the first one, something I didn't realize was that I wasn't necessarily like, I think that's when I kind of realized that if you focus just on the money, you're never really going to be fulfilled because it just becomes a little race. Like it's just a scorecard. There's nothing really happening. You know what I mean? And then once my, so I just figured I need to be more fulfilled with some shit. And one of my big things was, okay, I got to get better traveled. I need to be well traveled. I wasn't. I go to Vegas and freaking Miami for all my vacations for all my 20s. Like, okay, you know what? I'm going to take my daughter to Kenya. We're going to do a safari. Cool. Me and a group of my friends were freaking in our 30s. The first time I went to damn Europe, we went to freaking London and Paris and Amsterdam. We're in the Eiffel Tower and like taking pictures. Guys that have been buddies since college are now in our 30s doing this together. We're like giddy little kids taking pictures in front of the Eiffel Tower. You know what I mean? So shit like that. That happened. And then this past one, when I actually had the jump where my net worth was what it was, became what it was. It's awesome, dude. It's awesome. I like just having the ability to just wake up and do whatever I want each day, bro. It's, I'm going to start a podcast, I've been 50 episodes in now. That was fun. And just like I'm going to the Bahamas Friday for, what's the occasion? There's not an occasion. I just go into the Bahamas.
Go to the Bahamas.
Yeah, exactly. You know how I determine if I'm going to go on a trip or not? When somebody asks me last second, I go and look and see what seats are available in first class. And if there's no seats in first class available, especially a place like the Bahamas, because there's not a lot of flights from Chicago there. I can't go. Oh, what do you got? Something? I go, no, there's no first class seats available.
It's awesome, man. It's awesome. What fulfills you the most today?
Raising my son is a big deal, man. he moved in with me in 4th grade. I was always part of his life, but he lived in a different state.
Yeah.
And his circumstances changed a little bit with his mom. So he moved up to Chicago, and his mom's awesome too. So I don't want anyone to misunderstand what I mean by that. But he moved up. There were circumstances that he needed to come live in Chicago with me. And I was living at the Trump Tower, buddy, in downtown Chicago, and now I got a 4th grader living with me full time. It was kind of funny. The doorman and all the people at the Trump like loved him. They thought it was hilarious. But after a few months, I looked around. I go, you know what? I need to get out to the suburbs. So I went and bought this pretty decently sized house out in the suburbs, and it's cool watching my son, man. Because his life kind of got turned upside down a little bit. He needed to come live with his dad, who previous to doing this was we'd just go do fun stuff. I'd go visit him in Dallas, and we go, hey, we're going to the Great Wolf Lodge for 3 days. It's a big change to actually living with your dad and having your dad's rules. And
totally.
Yeah, so it's been cool. He's 15 now, and just watching him, really, really thrive with his friends and everything else. He's adjusted so well. It's almost like me and him laugh sometimes. Like, could you imagine if you didn't come live with that? Like how different life would be. And I don't mean just for him. I mean for me too. And it's all positive.
That's cool, man. That's cool. We got 2 kids, 2 girls, and they're 7 and 5. And I've learned lots from them. Being a single dad yourself, what would you say? I know parenting as a whole, there's lots of great lessons, but what are some of the best things you've learned being a single dad?
Being a single dad, I would say like seeing traits of your kid's mom in like in the kid, and whether right or wrong, like how you feel about whatever that trait is. You can't you got to remember this is a different person than the mom. You know what I mean?
Right.
Maybe if you don't talk to the mom that much, but like you'll see something. It's like, that reminds me of something 16 years ago. You know what I mean? And then you remember it's it's half the kid's half somebody else. You got to remember that. And I think that's I say that jestfully, but as a single dad that's actually raising his kid, like you gotta identify it. Like, hey, this kid isn't 100% you. He's only half you. So he's not going to respond the way you want him to respond all the time. His interests are going to be freaking different than what your interests were when you were his age. And, he's going to have talents that you never had. He's not going to be interested in maybe some of the things you were talented in. So I think remembering that and embracing it in a way that's about the kid, and not about, genetically where the hereditary came from. You know what I mean? It's cool because I learn a lot watching it happen too.
Yeah, I think that's great parenting advice. Single dad or not, is just that idea of that you're not trying to make him you.
Right. That's a good point. Yeah.
Allowing him to figure out who he's going to be. Right. So
I like
that's
that.
awesome, man. Yeah, it's awesome. For people to connect with you, you've got your own podcast, 2000% Race, correct?
Yep, I sure do.
That's okay. Awesome. Good. So then go check it out there. And then I know Instagram's your main platform. Can you give us the handle there as well?
Yeah, it's just at John Cerasani, JohnCerasani. And then I also have a TikTok, same name. And then my YouTube is 2000% Raised by John Cerasani. You could look up just John Cerasani if you want, but you're going to see like pictures of like my son as the ring bearer when he was 3, if you go to that one.
Okay. Got it. Cool. Awesome, man. Well, hey, I've loved our chat today. I love what you're doing. I think it's so cool how in a unique way, but you're helping so many people make that transition, get out of the job that so many are thinking they'd love to work for themselves. Maybe they're scared to, maybe they're afraid to make the jump.
Yep.
And I've really enjoyed our time together. So thanks for being here today.
Hey, man. Thanks, brother. This was awesome.
Yeah. Everybody, make sure to share the episode. Tag John, tag myself. And it's great having you here today. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.